Hey there, I'm Kevin.
And I'm Jamie, and we're your co-hosts for Two Clicks in a Pod.
Join us as we explore our missed times, stories, and memories due to divorce and a 1,000-mile separation.
I can't wait. You ready to get into it, Kev?
I am. Hey, Jamie, you think they're going to swear?
Oh, yeah. Consider yourselves warned. Hey there.
Hey.
Do you remember when you used to say, it may have been I just thought of this. Didn't you have on the answering machine at the old house in Forney? Hey there, hi though. Hey there, hi there, ho there. You've reached the McClinics.
Yes.
Was that there?
That was there, and then I had one where I actually made a greeting. I would go, hello, and people would leave, and they'd be talking to me, leaving, thinking that I was on the phone when I really actually was not on the phone. So
yes,
I did that on my cell phone. That was my cell phone. Yeah.
Well, you know you're not the only one to ever do that.
I didn't say I was.
Oh, okay. You're like, I did this clever thing.
I just got a big kick how I'd have all these voicemails and people would be telling me, talking, not knowing they were being recorded. They were actually thought, are you there? You said hello. Are you there?
Well, and now yours does this. You say, hey there, pause, Kevin McClinic. And then you just go, leave me a message. And I think we've actually talked about this before where I'm like, it's like you're missing something. So to me, it should say, hey, you've reached Kevin. Leave me a message. But you do this, hey there, Kevin McClinic. You announce yourself. And I feel like I've asked you this before, and you're like, yes, that's how I want it. And I've just had to let it be. Let it be. Let it be.
I don't even know if I would know how to go change my recording on my voicemail.
I've never done it. Should we challenge ourselves?
You haven't made your original voicemail recording?
Oh, sorry. Let me repeat that. I haven't done that in forever. To your point,
like that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Agreed. I'm gonna give us some homework. I'm gonna go and listen. I don't even know what mine sounds like. I'm gonna go listen to mine, and I may just update it to reflect my current, I don't know, voice tone.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
There again, I think that's a good call. I'm not even sure if I would know where to go listen to it.
Well, I'm pretty sure you go to phone and then you go to voicemail, and there's a thing. I'm looking as I talk to you. There's a link for greeting, and you can play it, and then you can record it.
I see. Okay.
So we can do that. All right. Homework is set. Homework is set.
Yep.
Well, let's make sure everyone knows. I think we talked about this in the last episode about you getting to the Panhandle there in Florida, but you are coming to me live from Fort Walton Beach, Florida, in the old Mojo.
Today I am. Yes.
Today you are.
Today I am. I'm in Florida in the bus. The bus is repaired, and went back there and looked at the actual engine compartment to make sure everything looked correct and copacetic. I don't know. We didn't tell the story about having to get the bus down here by a chauffeur. Did we?
No, we did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You said you were like, you called him like a wiry man. And then you were trying to remember his name. And I said, it really doesn't matter. No offense to that man.
Seth. Very nice guy. Yep.
There you go. So no, you told us that you were having it transported on your behalf. You were making the drive from Nashville down. And I need to catch up on how Thanksgiving went in Delaware, because I didn't end up seeing you over the weekend, which, not to make you feel bad, but your grandson did ask where you were like all day on Saturday.
Well, and I knew he would, and I felt bad about that. But I mean, shoot, with everything that had gone on and just I don't know, I just felt like nobody would have come with me. I would have just had to get in a car and drive up there. And not that I couldn't have, I just really was after driving Suzanne to the airport, getting back, I said, "Well, I had not mentioned even going, so I just before I told you that, I said I don't. I just didn't really feel, didn't know that it was worth going up there for the day or Sunday and then having to come back. So
Mm-hmm.
that's no, it it
Well,
it saddened me as well after talking about it that I wasn't feeling it to get there. And sounds like they had a great, or from what I saw, taken had a good weekend playing hockey. So that was good.
they did. It was another, they just it. Well, I will say the better game that I don't even know you would have made it to anyways. What was on Sunday when they actually played for the championship? That was really the only competitive game, and they still won that pretty handedly. They were we are in need of a challenge for sure. These kids, I think, are going to be in for a very rude awakening when we head up to Boston in a month, and then even more, and again when we go to Utica the following weekend. They're just the local teams that are playing. They're just it's like they're shutouts basically. They played this morning and they won 8-2, so not too bad, but we didn't even have our full team. We had like 4 kids out, so um, I had to give Parker a little grief too because I said, "Well, who was playing defense when those 2 goals were let in?" He's like, "I was." I said, "All right." But one of them was not my. One of them definitely was not my fault. I said, "All right." I can't let them get away with anything. Anyway, so they had that tournament in the bag pretty much, and it's still fun. They still enjoy it, and they get their banner regardless. So,
Mm-hmm.
uh
Good deal.
but tell me about Thanksgiving, because that is one thing I do miss. Because ever since we got into the hockey world, I think I did mention this before. I used to go to Delaware every Black Friday and spend
Yep.
the night with the McClinic family, which consists of pretty much a lot of years, all 3 of my aunts, my grandmother, my cousin, um, sometimes both cousins on that side. But I haven't been able to do that in like 3 years now. So I miss that day with everybody. So how was your trip? All the family time.
Yeah, it was good. Everybody, like you say, Tim and Aaron were there. Obviously, Mom was there. Leslie, Carol were there. Cindy and George were there, and it was, that was really it. There wasn't any. It was kind of a small gathering.
No friends,
Uh,
family friends. Sometimes Leslie has like the close family
yeah, we
friends.
saw we saw a couple come over, but not many. And I'm trying to remember who it was, but just one or two stopped in to say hello on their way around town. I think a lot of people, I think on her side had gone out of town, but yeah,
Mm.
it wasn't the same. The actual meal was just us. Um, so it was good. We had good quality time. So it was, you know, Hadley was there and Cullen was there. Um, both just very, very brilliant children, but they were by themselves, so they were a little bit, I'm sure,
Bummed
saddened.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Well,
meal was good. Thursday was good. Friday, people were up and around. Carol went out and actually got in the line to go, on Black Friday to get some gift cards at some of the restaurants that are there. They were running
mm.
like double value. If you
Oh,
bought
right on. That's
200,
great.
you got 400.
Right.
And that agave uh, restaurant was what was
Yeah.
popular. I didn't I don't think I'd ever eaten there. We went there Saturday afternoon, but they said that the line around agave that morning for those daggone gift cards was just crazy. I don't
Did
think
they have
from what
a,
she
a
told me.
a max on that, or was it like if you were there, you were getting one?
Oh, I don't know if they had a quantity. I would guess they
Yeah.
probably would have, but I don't know that if I was a restaurant and I would care. I would just sell them as fast as everybody wanted them. But
Well, yeah. Just to, like get people
she,
in the door.
I,
I haven't been there either, by the way. I do know what you're talking about, but I have not had the opportunity to eat there either.
Yeah, I think it's fairly new. From what I
Oh,
gathered,
you know
we
what
weren't.
I'm thinking of? We have an agave here close to us. That's what I'm thinking of. So I don't know that I've seen that one there. If it's
Yeah,
that new,
it's
maybe, maybe
not
not.
far. It's not far from the house. It's a brand new building. It's good
Mm,
size, good size establishment. We went there Saturday afternoon to late in the day just to get some. We had not been out. We didn't get out much and go anywhere to eat. We were eating in the house all week, so
mm-hmm.
we did that on Saturday. Oh, kind of in the later day, early evening. Notre Dame game was on, so the game was going on while we were there at the restaurant watching,
Right?
and they are, it's they've got great margaritas, by the way, and
Ooh, I love a good marg.
this and the specialty. They've got 10 specialties. I managed to stay just on the house, the regular one. Everybody else was
Did you go
doing the more
frozen or on the
sophisticated
rocks?
on the rocks,
Mm.
and
Salt or no
I
salt?
managed salt. They were
Yeah, of
big.
course, you
They
gotta
were
have
they
salt.
were they were they were they were good size,
Were they
they were
in
good
the
size chalice.
the the glasses that we like? Are we calling that a chalice?
I
Like the
call it a
dad, like the mugs that we would get at Doty's. The
yes, yes, yes.
the fish
But
bowls.
yes, a chalice. Yeah, the fishbowl. But it was not that heavy of a glass. It wasn't a champagne glass, but it was as kind of a typical. If I want to call
Pint
it a
glass.
typical. No, not a pint glass. It was
No, no, I don't
it
mean
was
by the
like a
size.
bowl.
I mean by the density. Was it like the same density as a pint glass? Even thicker,
No, no, it was lighter weight, lighter weight, lighter weight,
lighter
more
than a
like a
pint glass.
champagne glass. Yeah, but it had
Oh,
that Mexican globe
globe.
look. So yeah, it had
Interesting.
curved edges on it. They were large. They were 13 bu- thir, thir, it I mean it was $13 a pop, and there was a lot of margarita there. So
Well, that's not that bad
I,
actually for a cocktail.
no, not at all.
I
And
mean,
I hadn't I hadn't had it really hardly. We drank a little bit of wine on Thursday, but had not really drank much when we were there. It was kind of a boring weekend when it came to all that because
what's up?
everybody was on a diet. Nobody was really drinking. So
You can't be on a
uh,
diet on Thanksgiving. I'm sorry, but that's just complete bullshit. Like, and you know what? Even Papa said that because I said something when
I
I had teased about mixing up my stuffing recipe with Chris and Mom. I was like, oh, I think it was coming off my 3 week challenge. I was like, I think I'm going to try this stuffing recipe, and they were like,
well,
why would you
let
change it?
me.
And I said, well, this is a little lighter. And you would have thought that I had said, like, I'm skipping Thanksgiving altogether. They're like, you can't change the stuffing recipe. Like, it's Thanksgiving. You eat whatever you want on Thanksgiving. You drink what you want. I'm like, you know what? You're right. More butter. Like,
We did
just,
we did not change any recipes. We ate what we wanted to eat on Thanksgiving. It wasn't that Thanksgiving was the deal. I'm just saying everybody prior to Thanksgiving, and Leslie had dropped a lot of weight. She looked really good. So everybody was just being a little bit more healthy conscious through
mm,
prepping before and then afterwards, but we let our guard down on Saturday is where I'm going. So we had a
all
great
right.
Thursday with plenty of food, plenty of pie, all that kind of good stuff. Um, I don't know that George probably had seconds. I don't even know that for a fact, but we just kind of maintained. I mean, we were in maintenance mode. Saturday was
Oh
a
my
different
God.
story.
All right.
We
Here's what
went
I want to
out
know.
and
What pie did you have on Thursday?
there was three pies.
All right.
I
Tell me what you
had
had.
strawberry rhubarb.
I knew it. Did grandma make it for you or did they buy it?
No, Susan brought them. She gets those made in Detroit and brings them in from home. Maybe it's in
Oh,
Virginia,
Susan
but
was there.
she
You
was
didn't
in.
say Susan was there.
I forgot Susan. She was there. Yes, she was
I
there,
mean,
and she's
Susan's my
always good
favorite.
about bringing pies. Yep.
She brings them from Michigan. Well, she's my favorite family member, and she's not actually family.
Well, she's been in that family for
Well, she's
forever. She's
family to
been a part
us.
of it. Yes. Yeah, she's very grateful for family and our
Sorry,
family.
sorry to
So
my actual aunts, but I do love Susan. That's my
yeah.
girl.
So
All right,
she
so
brought the
Susan brought
pies.
the
We had
pies, strawberry rhubarb.
pumpkin, strawberry rhubarb, pumpkin. We had a cherry pie,
Ooh.
and then there was one other pie. Cherry,
So, did you have
peach,
apple?
peach,
Oh, you know who the
peach.
peach is for? You know who loves peach pie?
Who?
Aaron.
I do.
Aaron loves
Oh,
peach pie.
really?
Aaron loves peach ice cream too. She likes fruity. Well, she likes pies, but yeah, I know she likes her peach pie. Cousin Aaron, for those listening, my cousin
So I had
Aaron.
a piece of strawberry rhubarb and I had a piece of peach. The
Mm,
cherry I had on Friday. The cherry was amazing.
mm.
Had a piece of pumpkin pie on Friday. I know I hit that strawberry rhubarb again, but the pies lasted for quite some time. So
Well, because you
pies
guys
were
were all
good.
in your maintenance mode, so everybody's having small
That's right.
pieces.
That's
Now, were
right.
you putting
Everybody was in.
any vanilla ice cream on any of that? Any Cool Whip? Or oh, this is a question I have for you. Answer the question about
Well,
if you added any of it to your pie, and then I'm going to ask you the bigger question.
I added, they made some, they had some whipping cream that we actually blended and made it from scratch. So
Man, you guys are
kind of like a Cool
fancy.
Whip, but it was homemade. We are
Okay,
fancy.
so here's my question: do you prefer Cool Whip or the Ready Whip out of the can?
Oh, the Ready Whip's not even in consideration for me. Cool
Oh
Whip.
my God, all the way,
Yeah.
all the way.
I mean,
Totally agree,
Cool Cool Whip's tenfold better than that. And I
dude.
just think I
Cool
think
Whip
what turns me
is
off about the Ready
amazing.
Whip is seeing people taking it straight out of the can. That I think is ridiculous.
Mom loves
And
the
I'm
Ready
sure
Whip.
everybody loves that.
Yeah, mom loves the Ready Whip and she taught the kids how to do it. They prefer the Ready Whip, so we have to buy the Ready Whip for the kids, but I get my own little Cool Whip. I love Cool Whip.
There you go.
Whip. Cool Whip.
Yep. I
Yeah,
haven't
it's the
bought any
bomb.
Cool Whip in a while. Yeah.
Well,
The
we're not
homemade
fancy like y'all. We don't do that homemade. We just buy it. We buy
yeah,
our pies too.
the home whipped was really, really good. So pies were
So
good, food was
no
good.
pecan pie, huh? You guys aren't big pecan pie people.
No?
We didn't have a
Well,
pecan pie this year either, and I missed it.
I missed
I
it,
love pecan pie.
but yeah, I hear you.
Next year I'm going to make sure.
I
So
had
here's what we had. Do you want to hear what we had?
well, let me close down the pecan pie story real quick, or the
Okay, close it
narrative
down.
there. I've had plenty of pecan pie. Every month I get a pecan pie for whatever reason as a gift. I know the reason, but I'm keeping it a secret. So we get actually a pecan pie. Texas pecan pie is delivered to the house each month.
Who delivers it or who's sending it is what my question is. Is that
It's the
part of the?
guys that it's the guys that are helping me write the book.
Oh,
It's my ghostwriter crew. Yeah,
oh, all right. But you can't
the
share that
ghostwriter.
story. Ghost
I
Rider.
haven't told that story. Yeah. Well, I don't mind sharing the story. I just haven't brought it up. So it comes from the publishing company.
Speaking of Ghost Rider, real quick, just because you said those words, um, I read, Neil Peart, the drummer from Rush
Hmm.
who passed away.
Yep.
He was also a writer, and he wrote a book, which I think you should read it. It's called The Ghost Rider, and here's why I think you should read it. One, it's a very good book, but he was also a big motorcycle enthusiast. Specifically, he rode a BMW just like your old BMW bike. I don't think you have that BMW anymore. Your big one.
I sold it before going to Tennessee. That BMW GS Adventure.
Right. So that's what Neil
Yep.
Peart, am I saying that right? That's what he
Yep.
rode. And he actually wrote this book from the journals that he kept while he was on. It ended up being like a year and a half expedition that he did after he lost both his daughter and his wife within a year of each other. And he was
Uh-huh.
so depressed and just like literally gave up on life that he packed a single saddlebag and got on his motorcycle and went from he basically went all the way up into the furthest point of North America and all the way down into like Patagonia and down into South America.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then like and
I've
back
seen
again.
I've
It's an interesting book.
I think there's a documentary of him doing that, but um, I guarantee
Mm,
you he had that bike fully loaded with both hard bags on the back. There's a hard bag that goes on the top. The thing looks like a tank when you load it up. It's
yes,
multiple
he did because
multiple
there's a picture
storage
of it
bags.
and it's
Yep.
you see it.
Yep.
It's yeah, yeah.
And
But
that's
he didn't have
that's when
much.
we
Yeah.
were riding on that bike. I mean, that's kind of what you do is you pack it. You can get everything on that bike, and it just looks like one mean machine. Sadly, I did sell it. Sold it to a guy that was local there. He had a older one. This one was a little bit newer. I found out shortly after moving to
Yeah.
Tennessee and talking to one of the Kevin, trying to remember his last name. I think I saw him in the marina when I went back, and he told me that the guy had totaled that bike no more than about 2 weeks after he bought it. He wasn't hurt,
Oh
but
no.
but the bike was destroyed.
Yeah, that sucks. Well, the book, I will say this, the book, it's not an uplifting story. It's very sad, but it is a good story. And I think you would like it because he talks a lot about the actual riding of the motorcycle and going through that. And then interestingly enough, too, once he makes the decision. At that point, he had pretty much said, like, I'm not going back to music. I'm done with this. And obviously he did end up going back to Rush. And from that point on, he would ride that motorcycle when they were touring from location to location. He would not get on the
Uh,
buses with Alex and Getty. He would actually ride or airplane. He would ride the bike to the next location. And they
yeah,
accommodated that obviously. But it's an interesting story. But you mentioned because you said Ghost Rider and it made me think of that. I've been meaning to tell you that for years.
I'll do that because it's probably on Audible. That would be a good Audible book.
Oh, that would be a good Audible book. It took me a
Hmm.
long time to read it because again, there's just parts that are very depressing. There's no other way to say it. So you would be like, whew, you'd get through it. And I'd be like, through a chapter, I'm like, I got to stop on that. On that
Yeah,
note.
yeah, yep.
But he's a beautiful writer, very detailed. So anywho, okay, so pecan pie comes once a month. So you're over the pecan pie. Well, I don't get a pecan pie once a month. What we had was, we get our pies from Linvilla Orchards up here. I can't remember if I've taken you to Linvilla, but it's a local farm that they do orchards, obviously, where you can go and do your own apple picking, berry picking, and October, November they've got the pumpkin patch, all the pumpkins. Christmas you can cut down a tree, get your own tree. During the summer, that's the pool club we belong to. So anywho, they also
Yeah.
have a great bakery there. That's where we get our pies. So they do a chocolate cream pie there that is awesome. So we got the chocolate cream pie, a Dutch apple, and Parker and Jack both really wanted pumpkin pie. I could in all honesty, I can take or leave a pumpkin pie. I don't even think I had a slice of it. I only had the chocolate
I'm the
pie.
same way. I'm the same way about pumpkin pie. I like a piece every now and then, but I'd much rather go to a fruit pie.
Yeah, I really, and I will say this, I was giving you a hard time about y'all being on maintenance mode and eating. I didn't really eat that much either. Like I ate one serving of food. And I mean, I say that because our food is heavy. It's like all the old school casseroles, so it's like lots of butter and all that stuff. But um, I had one serving of that, and then I had my piece of pie, and that was it. I mean, I had leftovers like the next day, but I didn't really go too crazy. And for the first year ever, I used to like double everything, the recipe, so we'd have so much leftovers. And this year, I
Yeah.
just said, I'm not doing that. Like, I come home with basically a whole thing of stuffing that I end up having to eat. And so I'm eating stuffing for 7 days after, or, sweet potato casserole or whatever the other hell we make. So we didn't do that. And then, of course, everyone was like, well, there's hardly any leftovers. So I was happy about it. And where we ended the day with was, no, you got to double everything again because nobody else felt like they had anything to take home with them. So I'll be doubling it again next year, but I won't take it. But it was fine. It was good. We
Well,
had an
I hear
easy
you.
day, easy low key day here as well.
Well, we on the drinking or the diet, I know we went out there and we ordered Mexican food to take home. We sat there and we watched the game, and everybody else, I think, had one margarita, two margarita. I had to go three margarita, and I
I
thought
like
that was
that.
so funny after three margaritas. Normally, I can't function, but I was still okay. I say I was okay. I didn't feel terrible the next morning, but it was a lot of margaritas for sure.
Were
So
you by the end? Were you walking around doing the
surprising.
Pee Wee Herman?
No, I was not.
Tequila.
I wasn't to that level of happy. Nope, that wasn't that level of happy. But
Ah,
those were good. I ended up. I couldn't finish the third one, so they gave it in the to go cup. I was able to bring it home.
oh,
So
nice.
but yeah, I was
Yeah.
concerned, working out, trying to make sure that we were eating good, not to give up anything. And I was kind of panicking when I got home and jumped on the scale, and I was 2 pounds lighter than when I left. So that says good. That says
Oh
goodness.
my
How does
God,
that happen?
Dad. I don't know. It means you're not eating enough, but that's all right. You
Mm.
just keep losing the weight and I'll keep hopefully maintaining. I definitely put some weight back on, but I've decided this. I go to Dallas on Tuesday. I'll be there through Friday and then and who am I kidding? I'm not going to work out there. It never, every once in a while I'll get like a workout in, but every time I say I'll work out 2 or 3 times, it doesn't happen. So I'm not going to sit here and beat myself up about it. I'm just going to get through the week and then I'll get home. And, but I will say this, I'm not going to be like, I'll wait for New Year's. Like I'll get back on it starting, what is that? December the 16th. Is that Monday? Yes, that's
Yeah,
right. On
yeah.
the 16th, I'll get back into the swing. I'll finish December and wrap this year up, baby. Can you believe that we are headed into Dad, tomorrow is December the 8th. Do you know what December the 8th is?
I do know what December the 8th is. That is my grandmother Marie's birthday and my grandchild Reese's birthday.
I didn't know that was Grandma Marie's birthday. I
Yep,
never knew that.
December 8th. Yep,
Never knew that.
yep.
Wow.
And
What else? Oh, I
for
have
all
to tell
those
you
good
something funny
Catholics
too.
out there, December 8th is the Catholic holy day for the Immaculate Conception. Not the
Oh,
Immaculate Reception, the Oakland Raider Pittsburgh Steeler game. Franco Harris making that play to beat the Raiders. This is the Immaculate Conception holiday on
oh, I
December
did.
8th.
So that was when that happened, was on December 8th? Is that what we're talking about?
Well, that's when it's celebrated. I mean, Christmas didn't happen on
Oh,
December 25th either. I mean,
no,
Christ
but you
wasn't
said
born on December
her
25th.
conception. Like, is that when she
Her
realized she was pregnant? Was on the 8th?
No, I don't think it has any relevance. It's just
Did
a
she
marker
did
on the
she
calendar.
did she carry Jesus for 9 months? I'm being serious right now. Was that a thing?
Well, yes, she did. Yeah,
Did she?
he was
Well,
a
I didn't know if it was
yeah,
just
she
like
did.
bam, baby.
Hey, there is a new movie coming out, not to digress into that, but there is a new movie coming out on the life of Mary.
Oh boy.
That's one thing that nobody has ever really paid attention to that much. But yeah, I saw that somewhere. It's coming out. Anyway, I
I'm
digress.
still I'm
There is
still
a
hung
really
up. I'm still hung up on this conception thing.
well, it was
I
it was
don't know what you
immaculate in
mean.
the fact that
Right. So like
she
did she carry Jesus for 9 months? I'm being serious. Like I don't know the
no,
answer
she
to that.
carried the issue was that she did not have sex in order to conceive a child. The
I
child
know that, the Virgin Mary.
well
I
that's
get that. Yes.
well that's why it's immaculate.
Right.
It's an act of God.
But
It's not.
why
So
is that
what's your question?
celebrated? Why is it celebrated on the 8th? You said that was when was the Immaculate Conception. So I said,
It's
so
just
she
a
didn't.
church celebration. It's no different than us celebrating Christmas on for Jesus' birth on the 25th. He was
But
not born
Cassie,
on the 25th of December.
oh, when was he born? I didn't know that.
Do your history. That's your homework
Well,
assignment. Go figure out what these holidays are. But there's
well, I
there's
know
no
that
proof
that
that Jesus was born on the 25th.
all right, valid. I'll buy that. But like you're making it seem like he could have been born in June.
It may be. It
Oh,
may
okay. All
be.
right. Maybe. Well, maybe. So the point is, you don't know when Jesus was born either. Nobody knows. It's
Well,
not.
I'm not saying nobody knows, but it's that the church calendar aligns somewhat, but I don't think it's exact. I don't know that. I
Okay,
don't know that.
but
You
the
know,
point being is he was most likely born at some time in December, based on the
I don't know that
Bible
that's
and
factual.
okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna do a little research on
Hey,
this.
hey, let me ask Alexa over here. She's sitting over there. I can see her humming
Oh
at me.
God.
I can ask her when Jesus was born.
Well, she's gonna say on December 25th on Christmas because
I
that's
bet
the
she
only
says it
answer
was.
we have.
I bet no. I think there's probably another answer. I think there's a factual answer if
All
we
right.
dig
Ask her
for
real
it.
quick and make it fast. Make it
Hey,
snappy.
I'm going to go out to the audience and say this is really a deep conversation on birth dates and when Jesus and the Immaculate Conception. I may
Well,
be
I'm
wrong
very
on that, but
interested
that's
now.
kind of what I remember. But yeah, he was man, so she conceived a child or was given a child, and she went 9 months before the child was born.
Well, to your point, in that we don't really know that. And I guess I don't think my question was dumb in asking that because,
I didn't say it was dumb.
well, hell, I don't know if we want to get into all this, but I guess the thing is
Let's
that
move on.
let's move on. Let's,
Yeah.
all right, here's what I wanted to tell you. Thank God I didn't forget because what would happen if I did? Absolutely
Well,
nothing.
it's Reese's birthday. That's more important.
Okay, that was it. But I wanted to tell you this. Reese has been learning about in social studies. They're talking history, obviously, and specifically, she learned about Pearl Harbor this past week, and so it was yesterday, uh, or no, it was this morning. She gets up early with us. By the way, I've been up since 5 a.m. because even though I didn't go to the hockey game, obviously I get woken up through the process. And they had to leave the house at 6 a.m. this morning for this game. So I've been up since 5. And Reese ends up waking up at like 5:30. And she comes into the room to say goodbye to Chris, like she's never going to see him again. I just wanted to say bye to dad. And Chris is like, well, Reese, I'm going to see you this afternoon. Like I'm coming home. And she's like, yep, said something else. And then she goes, Dad, today's December 7th. It's the anniversary of Pearl Harbor. And he goes, it
Yep.
is. I know that. And she had told me earlier in the week, oh, I learned about Pearl Harbor. Did you know it was on December 7th? Yes, I did.
Hmm.
And then she looks at Chris and she goes, thank God it didn't happen on the 8th, because that would have been really sad if I had to had to remember that on my birthday. So Reese is
Well, that
grateful this year that she was not born on December the 7th, so she doesn't have to be, solemn and sad on her birthday every year because of Pearl Harbor.
Well, as a '60s child, I mean, we always knew that Pearl Harbor was on December 7th, and then the only way I could remember my grandmother's birthday is I knew it was a day after Pearl Harbor.
Well,
So,
yeah, and as Reese would say,
very,
thank God
very.
for that. Thank God for that.
I just Googled when Christ was born, and it says the exact date of Jesus's birth is unknown. Most biblical scholars and ancient historians believe he was born between 4 and 6 BC. And I've known that, we think that the calendar started at 0. There is no 0 in the calendar, but
Mm,
with regards to AD. But
got it.
anyway, so it is not known. It's just that we celebrate it, on Christmas.
All right. Well, here's to the Holy Father. Hallelujah. And also hallelujah that Reese was not born on December the 7th. So that was funny.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah,
Yep.
we have the big birthday tomorrow. Your first grandchild is going to be 12 years old, as you know, tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yes. I'm sure
8 oh
she's getting something
8
nice for birthday.
8:04 a.m. You were the first. You and Kelsey, sister Kelsey, were the first family members to meet Reese. So I always get sentimental on the. Obviously, I love both my children the same, but I think your first child always holds a special place for the act of becoming a mother and all of that. So I always get kind of sentimental leading up to Reese's birthday, and uh, yeah, feeling that way. And this year is, you know, we are going down the wicked path, Dad, and we have purchased and are giving her the cell phone tomorrow.
Is it a flip phone?
I told her I was going to get her a flip phone. And she was like, her eyes got so big, Dad. And she's like, oh, please don't. She goes, honestly, if that's what it is, I'd rather not get it. I'd rather wait. And she's like, I'll be so embarrassed. I would be so embarrassed, Mom. And I'm like, why? It's a phone. It works. You can call me. I go, you can text on them. And she was just like, are you really being serious right now? And I'm like, guess you'll have to wait and see. But
I
God help
think
me.
every child should have. I think every child should have a flip phone for at least a year.
They should all have to start with the flip phone. I loved my flip
I
phone.
know.
I remember that first flip
Yeah.
phone I had. I loved that phone. It was an
Somebody's
Ericsson.
making a flip
Mine
phone.
was an
Somebody's making a
Ericsson.
flip phone. Yes, Ericsson was
Heard
popular.
that. Heard
Motorola was
that.
popular. So who
Yeah.
is
Well,
it?
you had
Somebody's
the
making a
original
flip phone
Zach
now.
Morris phone. No, they have
What
one.
do you
It's
mean?
like it's an Android. I think Samsung
Okay.
has a flip phone, but it opens to a like full tablet phone.
Tablet. Yes, yes,
But
yes. It's horizontal
it
opening. Yep.
folds.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
even know if they still have that was like a year ago. So anywho, I was really hoping to make it to 13. Like to me, that was the age. 13, you get the phone, but she's like the last of her friends to get one, which is crazy, but true. So taking a deep breath. She's
I'm.
getting it tomorrow. I did tell her though, because we were riding home from cheer practice last weekend. I had Reese
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
three of her friends in the car, and
Mm-hmm.
two of the four had cell phones. And I'm looking around the car, and all of them are staring at either on the phone or staring at the girl's phone. They're all staring at their phones. And I said, "This is so sad." I said, "Here we are, all together. It's like you're best friends, and you're just staring at a phone." I go, "Put the phones down. I'm going to challenge you. Let's put them down and let's just talk. Like, let's talk about the practice we just had, or what are you guys doing this weekend? Like, let's just talk to each other." And they were still staring. I go, "No, I'm being serious. Put your phones down." So they put them down, and we talked the rest of the way home. But I told Reese, I said, "I can tell you one thing. You will not stare at a phone when you're in the car with me the whole time." I was like, we will be engaging with one another. If you want to plug your phone in to play some music, that's fine. I was like, but we are not doing that. We're not doing that game where you just are that teenager that you see sitting in the car staring at their phone and the parent is just literally chauffeuring them around. I'm like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Not happening. We'll see if it asks me in
Well,
3 months.
we'll see. We'll see how that works for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what to say about that. I don't have any strong feelings one way or the other than does she not have a smartwatch? Does she not have an Apple phone or an Apple
Oh,
Watch?
Dad, not only does she have the watch that's connected to a phone, it is a phone for her. She has an iPad. It doesn't matter. When everyone was getting the phones, I was saying all this stuff. I'm like, Reese, you basically do have a phone because your watch is a phone. So when you leave the
Mm-hmm.
house, people can call you, people can text you. You just got to answer it. Now, her biggest thing was, well, but if they're not an Apple user, I don't get it. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. How many people do you know that aren't Apple users? It was like one person.
Well,
But
it seems to me that she already has a prejudice against people that don't have an iPhone. So why would she worry about talking to somebody on a Samsung?
exactly. I love it.
Otherwise, a Samsung would have been fine. So
It's just it is kind of sad where we're at. Like I think Chris is struggling with it more than I am, but I just keep telling him, I'm like, here's the deal though, like this is their world. Like we are in an age where 12-year-olds have cell phones and you know, just I don't know, like a lot of people I think get upset about it. They try to slow it down. They try to keep it the way it was when they were a kid, but it's like, but this isn't when we were kids. Do you know what I mean?
no,
Like this is their reality. This is their world. They live in a world where they all have iPads. They live in a world where they in middle school they have a computer. Like Reese does her homework on a Chromebook. The child hasn't touched a piece of paper except for art class like all year. Everything is done on a computer. And
yeah.
I don't think that's a bad thing in that I go to work and I don't touch a piece. You know what I mean? Like I'm on a computer all day. So I think it's in a way, it's like this is progress. It sets them up for what their future will be. But yeah, is it a little sad that kids also like don't come home from school and just walk to their neighbor's house and knock on the door and say, "Do you want to go outside and play?" Because they don't do that. They're like, "Can you text their mom and see if they're available to play?" I'm like, "You're 11. Walk your ass down the street and see who can hang out." Like, I'm not texting anybody. I'm still working. And also, I'm not doing that. Like, go find something to do. And kids really just struggle to do that.
Well, having the phone obviously is a tool for sure. At 12, I think it's more important to when they are out and about and on their own, if they are, that they have a way to call for help or make people aware of distress. No doubt about that. Her watch serves that purpose. I don't
Mm,
know that I'm prepared to get into a big discussion about this just because it's just totally parental
it's choice.
comfort on that.
Yeah,
And the
agree.
point, I think they make a good point, and the point being with kids at that age, we know that we are in an info world, and info is in front of our face by computer, by phone, by, and what I feel the kids at a young age, as you witnessed in the car, it is information. There's all kinds of good information on that phone, and there's all kinds of bad information on that phone. There's all ability for people to make contact with on that phone, both good and bad. And
Mm,
that's what I think just has to be carefully watched, controlled, the time spent, like you say, the fact that she's going to be dazing on that phone, and we're going to be, and she can do that now. That's like you say, she can get on a computer and do that now. She can go check out whatever she wants to check out, but it's just having another utility tool at your disposal.
yeah.
And I don't take exception for the kids being on their phone just because it is information, and better yet, it's new. We all went through that, and it's sad to see, I think more so 33-year-olds sitting at a table and having dinner, a man and
Yeah.
wife or a boyfriend and a girlfriend, and they're both on their phones.
It's so true. It's so sad. Like we will go on the rare occasions when Chris and I actually do go out on our own, like without friends, without the kids. We say that all the time. We're like, look at those people over there. They're actually by
Mhm.
themselves. And sometimes to your point, they are younger, where it's like they probably don't even have kids yet. And they're still down here like this. And it's like, oh my God, you're just it makes me so sad because I'm like, enjoy the time you have with that person. Because when you do transition into having a child, like it goes away. Like the ability to sit at a restaurant and just talk about what you want to talk about without, all right, 5 more minutes, da, da, da. Like it's gone like that, and they're all doing it. They just stare. So then you start thinking like, I start like writing these scenarios in my mind about what's going on in their life, which is kind of fun. Like I'll be like, oh, do they even like each other? Is this like, is this girl stuck in this relationship she doesn't know how to get out of? So in my mind, I start writing all these scenarios because to me, I can't fathom for the life of me why you would sit at dinner with another human being and literally not speak to them. It's like, why didn't you just stay home? Why are you spending the money on the food and the drinks to like not even be participating in the experience, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know. I
yeah.
think it's sad. But this is the thing to your point
So
about
so
information. You say they
so
have all this.
as a parent, how are you going to control that information? How are you going to control
Well,
that time? How are you going to be able to maintain some some parental control,
I mean,
which
there's
is
literal.
important?
Yeah, I mean, there's literally parental controls in the phone that I can do, and we
Sure,
do that.
sure.
There's also just like, okay, you're home, give me the phone. You don't need to sit up in your room and stare at your phone for the next 2 hours. And all of that is easy to do in situations where I'm available, I have time, because I think that is something I have found, and I will speak for my children. I don't want to speak for other people, but what I find to be the most frustrating is that kids because of the world and that they're growing up in, and these devices, and this access to quote unquote quote direct engagement and entertainment, whether you think it's good or bad, I think it can be both. To your point, they struggle to entertain themselves without help. Whether that's me being like, let's go do this, or hey, I called your friend, we're going to go over there and you're going to go play. It's not like, again, where we were kids, where your parent, because you didn't have this. So it's like, I'm bored doing this. I'm going to go ride my bike now. Like, you found the next thing because that's what you had to do. You didn't have that easy access to quick, to your point, information or entertainment. It just wasn't there. So it's not, it is. It's like, do I want to go back where we didn't have the internet? No, I mean, give me a break. But it is a challenge. It is a challenge, and the phone is going to make it hard. But at the end of the day, it's like she's already kind of doing it because of the iPad, to your point, all the other shit. So now she at least is reachable all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yay. As am
Yeah.
I apparently
Well,
now. But I mean,
I
she
think
is
that's a good
very
thing.
excited about it. Very excited about it. I'll send you her number. You can reach her directly now. But and here's another exciting thing. I thought about this because, when we were going off to college and in high school, we did not have cell phones. Some kids had cell phones that were their parents' cell phone, that their parents would like let them use for the night in case they needed it. I had a
Right.
pager. It was awesome. I would have people page me, and then I would pull over at a payphone and call them back. Or I had it set up where I had my own phone line at the house there, so people could
Hmm.
call my phone line, leave me a message, and then I had it my phone voice like answer machine was set up that if I got a new message, it would page me. So I could then go to
Sure.
the payphone, call my answering machine, check my messages where people would say, like, oh, we're here, such and such is having a party, come out, like, and so that's how it was amazing. You think about that, like all the steps I had to do where now Reese will just be like, I got a text, we got to hit up this person's house, which we're years from that, but you know what I mean? So you think about this. So we had none of this. So we're like working for communication, constantly working to communicate. Now they just have it.
Yeah. Yep.
Then
Yep.
I think back to when I went away to college. I still didn't have a cell phone. I went away to
Yeah.
school. Obviously, I had a phone in my dorm room, right?
Hmm.
And Shelly gave me a calling card and said,
Oh.
you can use this calling card to call us to check in, or like in emergencies if you need a call. Because again, these are the days where you couldn't call long distance. The
Right.
dorm didn't allow kids to call long distance because obviously there was no way to pay for it.
Kind of like Franklin County Jail. Yeah.
Kind of like Franklin County Jail. Okay, so I don't even know if you know this story. So Shelly gives me this calling card and just tells me, use it to call us. Use it. I do think she said like emergencies or like really need it. And I'm like, okay. So obviously I used it to call you guys, to call home. Well, I also used it because when I went away to college, I was still like kind of dating this guy back home in Winter Park who was younger than me. And so I'm calling him dad from the dorm room
Hmm.
so we can
Yeah.
talk. And we talked for hours. We would talk for
Sure.
hours. Well, this was during the summer school session. So the summer before freshman year. So I'm calling and calling Jeremiah, whatever. And um, about 4 weeks later, so summer school session was 6 weeks long. About four
Yeah.
weeks later, Shelly must have gotten the phone bill.
Oh, yeah.
And, and I get a
I think
phone.
I do remember it. I don't know
Okay.
that you had the card, but I do remember the bill.
Okay, so I get a phone call from Shelly. I don't even think you and I ever talked about this. I'm pretty sure Shelly handled this. And she was like, what have you been doing and who are you calling? Because you have a $1,200 phone bill over the last 4 weeks. And I was like, what? Well, what I didn't know, because she didn't tell me this. So in my defense, I will say in my defense, I did not know. It was like,
And you couldn't Google it.
and you could, right? I don't think I could. Could I? Did they have Google then
No.
in 1999?
Well, we had computers in 1999,
I
so I
can
would
tell you
guess
this.
so. Yeah, they'd had internet.
We had dial up internet where it was like
AOL,
yeah,
AOL. Yep.
AOL. And I will even say this, we weren't even I was of the generation is not the right word. I was of the time where we didn't even really use AOL that much. It was just starting. So like a year, kids in high school. So I went away to college in 99. Kids like in 99 in high school really started using AOL and AOL chat. We never really used it all that much. So, because by the time it got big, we were all starting to get cell phones because we were in college. You
Yeah,
following?
yeah.
Okay, so
Hmm.
I find out that this calling card apparently it was like a quarter a minute is what it was charging. I didn't know that.
Wow.
So if I'm
Yeah.
on, you do the math. If I'm on the phone for like an hour long phone call, which I guarantee you I was at a quarter a minute, that's like what,
Yeah.
$15 a call? How
Well,
did I do
no.
there? How
Well,
did I do
maybe.
there?
So,
Well, maybe
no, I don't think so. Let's.
I got to do the
So
math because
let me put. How many 5 minutes do you have in an hour?
60 divided by 5 is 12, right?
That's right. Yep. So 12.
Yes.
So 12 times a dollar. 12 times a dollar and a quarter.
Okay, so 12 times 1.25.
Pretty close to $15, I guess.
Yeah, it's exactly $15. I was right. I did quick
Oh,
math.
good.
Oh,
Well, I was just having you check your math. There you go.
yes.
Good
I'm
job.
more excited about that than anything else that will happen today. Okay, so
How
$15.
long did it take you to go? How long did you prepare for this to answer that question
I
appropriately?
didn't.
You
I
have that
didn't
written
at
down?
all.
Yeah.
No,
Is it
Dad,
written
like
on the back of, is it written on the back of your eyelids?
nowhere, nowhere, nowhere. Okay, all right, so let's jump through this because it's dragging, and I want to get to my point of the story that's really good. Okay, so you're like, all right, $15 a call. Like, I was probably doing that though every day. So you still do the math. 15 times 30, right? What does that get you to?
Yeah.
15 times 30 is anybody out there quick? 15 times 30, $450.
450.
Okay,
Yep. Yep.
so you're like, well, that's not 1,200. Okay, then let's add in that I was also calling home. Okay, well, what I find out through Shelly is she starts reading me the numbers. She's like, these are the numbers that I don't know because you guys use the card as well. So she's like, this number. And I'm like, well, she's like, obviously that's us. Then it was like 407-629-1874. That was the home in Winter and Maitland. Okay, that's that. This number. I'm like, well, that's Jeremiah. Okay. Then she goes, what's this number?
It was it was home.
Home, home, home. So,
That's how you said it. That was the home.
that was the home drop. So, okay. So then she's
Yep.
like, what about this number? What about that number? And I go, and they're all Florida numbers. So they're not you guys. And I'm like, I don't know.
Who
I don't know that number. I have no idea
did
who
somebody
that
steal
is.
your card? Somebody
Dad,
took your card?
he was dating another girl and calling her from wherever he was. Did you not know this?
Oh.
So
He had the card? He had the card?
I gave him the card so he could call me. Again, stupid, stupid. Good God. What a fucking idiot. Anyways,
I do remember that because I remember I think Shelly actually called his parents.
she did. Okay, so she first asked me, who are these numbers? And I'm like, I don't know. Then it's this other number. I'm like, I don't know. So I think I called it And she's like, who is this? And I'm like, no, who is this? And she said her name was Nicole. And she's like, it's Nicole such and such. I'm like, okay. And I had known that they had like we dated, broke up, started dating again. In the off, he had dated her. So I knew that there was a thing here. And I'm like, well, she's like, why are you calling me? And I gave her the story. I'm like, well, I've been talking to Jer all summer, like thought we were together. Apparently, so are you. And just so you know, he's been up here to like he's dating both of us, calling both of us, and she had no clue at all. And so we decide to call him on three-way calling and basically catch him in this. So I think I called and she was listening in quietly. And I'm like, what's up? And he's like, nothing, and I'm like, he's like, well, what's going on with you? And then she, I think, came in and was like, what's up, Jer? How are you? And he's like, what? So we exposed the lie on the phone. This is so funny. And long story long, he ends up, of course, calls both of us, tells both of us that we're the person he wants to be dating. It's just so gross and all of that. And we end up breaking up, obviously. He ends up staying together with her, I think. And what comes out of all of this for me is that I owe Shelly like $1,250 in for phone charges. And she did call his parents and basically was like, my daughter's not paying for all this, like, because she's like, she'll cover the calls that he made to her and she made to him, but these calls that he called another girl, like, no, he's paying for that. So I think they ended up working that out. His parents hated me, like, like, that's a whole other story. They did not like me. They liked me at first, and then they didn't. So we broke up, and I moved on just fine. And I came home from summer break, and that was when I started working at Panera Bread because I had to get a job to pay Shelly back. So I came back from summer school and started working, and Julie worked there as well. And this was great. We would work the 5 a.m. shift at Panera. So they opened obviously at like 6 or something because they served breakfast, but we had to be there at 5. So we were home from we had been away at college for 6 weeks. So we think we're big college kids now. We come home and we were hanging out with other kids our age and friends from high school that were older than us too, also in college. So we were out till like 2 o'clock in the morning all the time. And then Julie would pick me up for our 5 a.m. shift at Panera. So we would get home at like between 1 and 2. She'd be there at like 4:45, and we had to wear like khaki pants, and we had a hat. Thank God for the hats, because we would throw those hats on our head and just like the drive to Panera would be like silent because we were just like driving to get there, and we'd work that shift, and it was like making coffees, taking people would come in and like pick up bread for the day, like the loaves of the bread. And I remember they had that bread slicer that powered the bread slicer, and you had to pull the handle down. And I loved doing that. So the manager would come over and be like, well, who wants to slice? We've got 50 bread orders. Who wants to slice the bread? And I was like, because I would just stand in the back and just slice bread. Like hungover and exhausted, just slicing bread over and over. So I had to do that job until I left again in the fall. And then I still, because you're not making much at Panera, I had to come home over Christmas break freshman year and worked, which is why I don't even think I saw you. I ended up working all of Christmas break at Panera to pay back the $1,250. And that's it.
So, Daisy Jones and the Six, you are number one. How does it make you feel? Couple takeaways from that.
I can't wait for the
$1,200 on a
question.
phone bill. I do have my takeaway. You beat Shane's total Yeah,
or cost?
I don't know when when
Dating
he
Jenny
was
Miller.
there living. Yeah, $600 on his phone bill. So you doubled
Oh,
that.
I
But
killed
yeah,
that. I killed that.
that was good. The other takeaway was I'm so glad that you knew how to work through that because of me making you pay and save up for your bicycle.
My Montgomery Ward blue bicycle. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. So
Oh,
that, and
Dad.
then I mean, how did you feel
Mm.
noting that you were getting two timed?
Well, there was
That
so
had
okay.
that
That
had
was
to
hard.
be terrible.
It hurt. Oh yeah, it
I mean
hurt.
that
And here's why it hurt. Okay. Number one, this okay, there was a lot going on in that last year of high school for me. So I don't know if you remember this, but I also had a really good friend, a good guy friend. His name was Wilson, and we were very
yes,
very close.
yes,
And
yes.
his father passed away that year, um, in a very sad way. And I we were very close, but like I had met him the year before. We just became very close very quickly. He's one of these people, and we're not friends at all anymore, and that's sad. But it was someone that you meet that you're just like you have an instant connection bond with. Like you just get along really well, and
Yeah.
because it's like you get that person, they get you on many levels, and that was what I had with him as a friend. And then we we dated, like, so I was dating Jeremiah while I was friends with Wilson, but then I'm like, well, I think have feelings, like I like him more than a friend. So then we broke up and I started dating Wilson, but then I ended up getting back together with Jeremiah. It was this very high school situation. And when I say high school, I mean it was just a lot of immaturity happening. And unfortunately, and they were friends, so like they knew it was going on. And I ended up being put, I ended up being the bad guy in the situation. And I think they're still friends to this day. And it all got put on me. And maybe that's right. I don't know. Bros before hoes, as they say. But so it was sad because I lost a lot because of that relationship with Jeremiah, meaning I lost a very dear friend ultimately because of the choices and the actions that I made.
Wilson. You
And
lost Wilson over that.
I lost Wilson
Yeah.
over that, I think. I mean, there were probably, he would maybe say other things as well. Like I ended up running into him one night when I was home for college on like a Thanksgiving break or something. Like everyone went downtown Orlando and I ran into him and he just like stopped communicating with me. So we talked that summer, we talked into that fall, my freshman fall. And it was like that October of that year, he just stopped speaking to me completely. And when I ran into him that one time, I'm like, I just like whatever I did, I'm sorry. Like I don't even know what I did. And all he would tell me was that I just reminded him of the worst time in his life, basically, is what
Mm.
he said. Those were his exact words. You remind me of literally the worst time of my life. And I just can't, like, I don't want you to be a part of my life anymore. And that was it. And
You hurt
yeah,
him big. You hurt him big. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I don't think, I know I did. I also do believe that because of other things happening, with losing his father, like I do think the memory, it was a lot. And that memory turned into a bad memory, unfortunately. And he didn't want that around anymore. So, and he started dating another girl and they're married now. And so to your question, like, how did it make me feel? It fucking sucked because well, one, I cared for him, but I lost what was probably a more important relationship than the one I was in. And that's been, um, yeah, I mean, like every once in a while I think about that even to this day. And that makes me sad. It does make me sad, but What are you going to do? Such is life. And it what's, it's not the first person I hurt. It's funny, like after we had the episode when I, shared with you about my first real boyfriend and, Nick and all that, he had randomly reached out to me just like every once in a while he'll reach out or I'll reach out like, how are you? How are things? And he had done that. And I laughed because it was like 2 days after we recorded. And I said, I really wish that you had reached out 2 days ago because I would have had some questions for you to help fill in and, make sure I was getting this right. And so we caught up and we talked and I told him about the podcast and that, hey, just heads up, like if you want to listen, listen, but I do share that about us. I share our relationship. And I mean, I hurt him, I, I also hurt him in my own, in what really was just me trying to work through or find my own things, my own insecurities, my own issues. I don't know, but it was like,
Do you feel
and
like
I'm
you
gonna,
were do you feel like you were reckless in and when I say reckless, I mean I know who you are and how, and we've talked about this throughout, the 15 sessions that we've talked, but you are a people person. You're always trying to be um in tune and on point with most people that you meet. When you go to when you made mention just a few minutes ago about just, feeling connected or really connected, I I I I think I feel that's very natural for you and I. We can have a
mhm,
conversation with and there's some people that you don't connect with that just don't, but those are few and far between
yeah, I agree.
because I give everybody a fair chance, and to a point maybe that at times I feel, my decisions were reckless, and I understand because you can't, and I understand that in my um in my unhappiness, off and on over the 10-year period that we were not apart, and or that we were apart and not really talking together because of relationships that I was involved with.
Mhm,
And it's 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 my reflection on that, and my 2 cents worth on that is, I think, I feel like we're both very antsy at times. We always have some point of unsettlement, or not being settled, or worrying about whether, and I'm guessing, worrying about whether this is a good thing or it's just an okay
mhm,
thing or it's a bad thing. And is it something that, well, I'm gonna ride it for a while, try it out, but yet here's somebody else over there that kind of draws my interest. And you and Wilson, when you brought Wilson's name up, I mean, yeah, I forgot all about Wilson, but I know he was a lifelong friend or a very cherished. He was the guy that you just put your soul into and having conversations and discussed your
mhm.
problems. And
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and you become attached to those kind of people. And
Mhm.
um so
Well, he
I
was
I
the
get
first
that.
friend I had that, so he was the first friend I had that like his parents were also separated.
Mhm.
They weren't formally divorced, but they were separated and had been. And, I never, so we had that, you know what I mean? But it was more than that. I think for me, Dad, like where I have come, and we joked about this the other day that obviously you've been through therapy. I've never done consistent therapies where I'm giving therapy to myself through this podcast. But I think for me, it is and when I was talking to Nick and we were talking through this, he's like, Jane, you loved attention and you loved it from men or boys. Cause who are we kidding? They
Yeah.
were boys.
Well, yeah.
He was
Nick,
like,
Nick,
you loved the attention.
well,
And
my preface to this was me being nice about not just coming out and and my sister Leslie will give me a hard time just not calling you out for loving attention.
yeah, you can call
That
me out.
that's
You can call me
you're
out.
all about gaining and getting attention. So, and that can be dangerous. And that's the point I've made a
Yeah.
couple of times with you and your pod or your clique group that you run around with, is that it's all about
Mm.
getting attention. And that's
For me,
natural
or
to
we're
most.
all, we all, meaning we
I
all, the four of us do that, or you think I do
No,
that of the
no,
four of us?
no. Well, yeah, you're always out in front of the four of you. I'm not saying that Julie's not, or that Kara's not, or I'm not saying that nobody else is. I'm just saying that's just kind of. And I call you Daisy Jones because I don't know if you know Daisy Jones in the series, but that's kind of in your high school days, and you describing that. I said, my God, she's a Daisy Jones.
Well,
She,
I started the Audible of Daisy Jones finally, but I didn't watch the show yet. I started the book on
but
Audible,
yeah,
so I'll have to finish it.
I think you, and I go back to the whole insecurity thing. That could be big. That could be. And
I think at the
I'm
root
not a.
of it, I think, yeah, I think at the root of it, if we're going to go deep here, I think that, yeah, a big part of it was I was, not to be dramatic, but I truly look at myself as like the ugly duckling. I literally went from the very awkward, nerdy girl with very unawkward, nerdy friends, and very quickly in like a year, it just changed for me. Like I transformed, and all of a sudden I'm getting attention, and I'm getting a lot of attention because for the first time, it wasn't that my personality changed. I was always who I was, which is why I think I was, quote unquote, somewhat popular and had popular friends. But for the first time, physically, I was attractive to people, as well as people wanting to be around me because of my personality. So here I am finally being seen, quote unquote, seen, as I air quote. And I liked that. As Nick said, you liked the attention. And it was probably the nicest thing anyone's ever said in terms of how my behavior was. He was like, and I was happy you were finally getting it. And I just was like, well, that's really, as the person that I devastated and hurt through that, it was really nice that now, 20 years later, he's able to see that and go, yeah, you were going through your shit too. Now, that's why I joke. I'm like, is that dad issues? Is that, a result of trauma from the divorce? My parent, shit, I don't know, dad. Like, I don't know that answer. All I know is that I do think it's from very quickly coming into my own and being seen. And I liked that. I like the attention. But in my defense, I don't ever feel like to your point, when I'm with the girls or when I go out with friends here, or if I'm with the family, it's not that I'm consciously trying to be the center of attention. I do not think I'm doing that. Now, do I think I find myself there? Sure. Do I think you do as well? Yes. Do I think my brother does? Yes. I think that's in our nature. Like as did Kelsey, my sister, like I found when I would sit back and watch her, like I think we all kind of get there because we are outgoing, social, likable people, I think we're fun.
Yeah, but I don't feel, I feel like I went in high school through the same thing that you went through, to where I was never seen. I just, not that I didn't have friends, but the friends that I had,
Right.
we had our group of friends, but it was, there was just a lot of just feeling a little bit, less than, or not equal to, or goofy, or, not a part of. And I don't, and so I do feel that perception on our part is what eventually causes us to try to make a point to say, I need to be heard. I want to be heard. Therefore, I'm going to make sure that you do hear me. And
Yeah.
whether you want to or not, I'm going to let you know that I'm here and valid enough to actually make a point. Therefore, go out and make it. So And I look at that and have looked at that from, current day, current age at 69 years old, being behind the desk, meaning underneath it for many, many years before getting on top of it and owning the desk. And that didn't happen. That did not happen for a long time. I mean, that was probably a part of my issue just in, through the first marriage with your mom. I mean, I just never felt like I was being, I wasn't accomplished enough to actually think my opinion really mattered. Now I'm sure it did with her and I, but it is and has been, and in my 40s, being headstrong and things of that type. So this is, I guess, where I'm saying, as a much more mature person looking back on this, you see those things, you recognize those things.
Mm-hmm.
I see that same thing in your storyline. That, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it reminds me of that gift my mom gave me not long ago for Christmas, where it was the nameplate that says, you are a big deal. So, you get to that, you get to that point to where, yeah, you have a little bit of confidence, and sometimes that can just be overconfidence that needs to be tamed.
Yeah.
And again, your story, I'm sure it's in my story, we have hurt those that were closest to us because of, for lack of a better description and just stating what it is, just inappropriate action. So
Yeah. I mean,
that's
100. Yeah. I mean,
very
that's
interesting.
that's. I mean, that's spot on. And I can own that. Like, I can own all the things that I did that were hurtful or inappropriate to your. Yeah. But I can also wrap this up by saying, these were, the acts of a 16, 17, eventually late 18-year-old child.
Hmm.
Um, which is why, as now parenting, approaching these teenage years with my daughter, it's not that I don't want her to date and have relationships. What I want to help her with is realizing that, these feelings are so big at that point in your life. And at the same time, they're so fleeting. They are so small. And I let myself just really get caught up in these very um, serious relationships at a very young age. Like, they were very, very important to me. They were very serious. I mean, losing my virginity at 16 years old. Um, Again, I can't rewrite history, but it's like, these are all things now as a parent. And it's not that anyone did anything wrong that parented me, but I let my need, I think, for the validation um, drive the acts of a very young person, if that makes sense.
It does. It makes sense. And I think the only correction that I want to make to that, it doesn't matter whether you're 16 years old, 20 years old, 40 years old, or 60 years old. When we get into ourselves,
Mm,
into our own ego, to where we feel we're bigger than anybody can take on or hurt because of
mm.
hurt. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to
I
get
hear you.
hurt. We quickly pull back, and this is a description of those 10 years. We pull back into ourself to protect what we have, to protect where we're at, to hold on to what makes us feel good, to where we discard and hurt others to a great degree, not even understanding and knowing
That
that,
we're doing
you
it.
know.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that Wilson pulled away, or the fact that, in looking at my stories of just always thinking there's something better than where I currently am. That's just
But
I'll that's just ego. Or there again, I call it
yeah.
being unsettled. It's looking for something that's better, that you can't even recognize the good that you're in.
And
So,
yeah. Well,
um,
and
and
I
at a
love how you
younger
said that.
age, that's the way you grow up. I mean, you grow up by
Yeah.
doing, and the sad part is that feelings and hurt. And like you say, breaking up at 16 is not the end of the world, but uh,
Yeah.
it, you know, it still hurts. And as you know,
Well, and you,
they,
again, it's like you cared for that person. So again, 20 years later to know what you did like really hurt another person as
mm-hmm,
you're, as, let me just be direct, as I'm acting through my choices and living through my life and now knowing that the hurt I cause another person for something that wasn't, to your point, really any better. It was just me seeking the next good feeling
right, right, right,
because,
right.
that new one,
It's shiny and new.
it's winning. It's winning. It's like I've got that. I've reeled in that next person to see how awesome I am. And that is gross, but it's also, I know that that's what I was seeking. It was like
Mm-hmm,
pulling in as much as I could to see, hey, I'm a really shiny penny. Like pick me up, pick me. And
mm-hmm.
I hate that. Like I hate that. But I don't know. It is what it is. And what's really sad is that, to your point, this is this person that obviously I hurt. Um, it was a 2-year relationship, and I'm 43 years old and I still sit here and feel bad about that. And
Mm.
so that does speak to the importance that it held for me, even though that was such a short period of my story. Like it really, I do think it shows that I think it was the first time I realized the actions that I took, how they really were going to affect me for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Event, like I eventually saw that. So, um, but yeah, being two times sucks. To answer your first question, but it was all in the timeline, right? It was like that relationship needed to end, and so I could move on and grow and do other things and make other bad choices, which I continued to do. So, I mean, I made some good ones as well, but I continued to make bad ones along the way. And maybe the reason for that, Dad, like maybe the whole point is so that I can like do better by my daughter. Like it's like, yeah, you did all these things, you a lot of immaturity, a lot of bad choices, but it's going to help you to parent the shit out of that little girl. I
Well,
hope
yeah,
that's
and it,
that's all I can hope for, that it ends up serving some greater good, and how I pay it forward. I don't know. I don't know.
well, and again, it's all about, as we like to think, it's all about learning and growing, and hopefully we grow out of our learning, which that's important. And I don't, it is hard to parent at the age that the kiddos are, and Reese
Mm,
being being a gift from God, and as emotional as she is, and just the struggles that she's going to have, and that's going to take some navigation in order to what to share, what not to share, and how to be there to support her. And that's all you really need to do, is just be there, be
yeah.
present and
Well,
be
and that's
there.
what I think, that's so true. I agree. She got mad at me. Yeah, I mean, we're in a very emotional state with her right now. Like she is at the prime of this phase of her puberty, and yeah, I'm not going to get in all into Reese's where we're at, but I'll just say we were very close to a big thing for Reese, I think, and so she's very volatile right now, and she got mad at me the
Mm-hmm.
other night. I thought we were okay. We went to bed that night at, I love you, good night. The next morning, she would not speak to me. Like,
Mm.
would not speak to me.
She's
So I
she
just,
slept
I
on it and
looked
it
at
wasn't
her.
good.
No, it wasn't good. I go, oh, so we're still here. And she just was like, literally wouldn't even say, yeah. She just was making these faces. And this is early in the morning, before the bus pickup. And I just finally, after asking her things and talking and her not answering me, I finally just looked at her. I said, you know what, Reese? I said, I get it. You're mad at me. I said, but this is not us. We talk. We don't shut each other out. we don't not talk. So even if you are upset with me, you're not going to leave this house this morning not speaking to me. So
Mhm.
I made her come lay with me on the couch. I was like, let me cuddle you, let me hold you, and then you can go to school. And she came over. As soon as I said that, she was like, walks over, lets me hold her. She still didn't talk to me. And but she at least said goodbye to me when she left for school, and I told her I loved her, and she came home and she told me she was sorry. But yeah, it's like it's a lot right now, Dad. It's a lot of intense and heavy things, and it's like, God, just get me through it. That's where I feel like right now. Get me through to the next step. Well, so this is what I wanted to say. We're kind of having a little bit of connectivity issues, so I do want to wrap this up. And you've mentioned this a few times through us talking about this latest piece of the episode. 10 years. You keep going those 10 years, and I just want to share with everybody. One, I feel like we're at this point, and it's going to make sense in a second when I say this, but we've been on a timeline journey, Kevin and I, Dad and I, talking about our past, starting with Dad, the very beginning, getting into college, meeting my mom, having kids, going through the divorce, um, the relocations, the time apart, all of that. We've used these last 15, 16 episodes to tell those stories of that time. And um, that time took us to about 2010, if we're looking at a true calendar. And Dad and I talked a lot about this episode and what was next, and what we wanted to focus on, and how we would wrap this up to current day. And I want to just share with all of our listeners, our people, our Click family, that while there was 10 years and there was a lot going on, it was a time in our life, and our being Dad and I's, where we were not connected. Um, Intermittently so every once in a while, but it was uh, those were hard years, I know, for all of us, and hard from different perspectives. Dad's perspective different than mine. But what we decided is that rather than really go into a lot of detail, and because it's just not necessary, is the most important thing is to really focus on that we once again found our way back to one another as, a father and a daughter. And I think what is very unique about, my dad and I'm speaking for myself, is we also found our way back to what is our friendship. And I think that is something that is unique about our relationship. Is I truly consider, you, Dad, to be one of my best friends, and someone that I can be 100% authentic with, good or bad, and you will give me feedback, good or bad. And I think I take that from you most of the time, and eventually come around to realizing you come from a place of love and trying to make me the best person I can be. And I think that you would agree that I, in turn, do that for you. Um, but I do think, what I hope in these last, you know, 20, 25 hours of podcast episodes that people take from us, is that our relationship is one like that, where, and what I think makes us unique, and that I don't hold back my opinions from you, whether it be about a story or a current event or the way you're acting. We are very real with one another. And I think that is what makes us unique and very authentic. And we are choosing to just share with you all that, yes, there was a 10-year period of our life that was very, very disconnected, very hard. And we sit here, though, today very much connected, and, you know, in from with a lot of love in our heart for one another. And I think what is even more special is that as we have done this together, as we continue to grow as individuals. I see a lot of myself in my father, both physically and personality, emotion. I'm much more like my father than my mother, and sometimes that's great, and sometimes it's not great. But I'm happy we're doing this, and I guess I'll just say if Dad wants to add anything to that, but that's my
Mm.
take on bringing us to current times.
Yeah, that's very true. And this subject matter earlier is resonates well within that our history of the
Mhm.
last 10 years and being disconnected and, you know, as I mentioned, just trying to find satisfaction in myself versus, you know, my family at all times. So it's tearful, it's sad. Nobody likes to endure hurt. I do appreciate who you are, what you are. I appreciate your family, love your family, and I love you. But it was a rough road,
Yeah.
and hard, difficult, and I'm sure Wilson like. Um, but
Oh,
yeah, I'm thankful for so many things, and obviously this podcast is one of them.
yeah.
It is therapeutic.
Well, I will
Hmm.
say, it's not the end for Two Clicks in the Pod. It is what we're hoping to be the kind of the end of the timeline storytelling. We don't have any intentions of not continuing to share our stories. I think you have found that as we catch up, as we talk, the stories just come to mind, things that we like to remember together or share that we didn't know, and that is the plan to continue to do, as well as we're going to start bringing people into the mix here. So if there are people in our lives that you've heard us talk about that maybe you would like to see or hear, I should say see slash hear here on the podcast, share that with us. If there are people out there in the world that you think, man, we would love for Kevin and Jamie to talk to this person that we know, we think they could really benefit or enjoy learning from them. We're asking you, the listeners, to share that with us. That is the new direction of Two Clicks in the Pod. Now that we come out of our story, is to start continuing to tell more stories with new people and people we know, people we don't know, but are very excited to meet. We're going to kick that off. We actually have, this is a 5-week month of the year. So get excited. You're going to get 3 episodes of Two Clicks in a Pod this month in December. Typically, we just drop 2 a month, but with it being a 5-week month, we're going to have a year in review that we're going to launch on New Year's Eve. We're really excited about that. We're going to be bringing in our producer and who is a new friend in our life, Kesley Webb, share with you guys kind of some behind the scenes stuff on really how we got here today with Two Clicks in a Pod and what we've learned from Kelsey, what the relationship we formed with her, and really excited to have her on as what will be, the first of hopefully many guests in our future. Did I get that
Sounds
right, Dad?
great. You did. Sounds great. Be good to get some really solicit some feedback from others and get some opinions and get some guests on the show to kind of relate to this father-daughter relationship that we've tried to bring forward and the sharing, transparency. Um, it's big. It's good. It's
It's good
greatness.
stuff. It's greatness.
Hmm.
It is greatness. All right, Padre. Well, I
Yep.
love you. I thought this was great. Thank you for letting me talk through what are those were those are hard and sad memories that still I say haunts because I do feel haunted by them, and that was helpful to talk through that with you. So thank you for that. I guess I'll say sorry to all those that I know I've hurt along the way. Hopefully, I've apologized. I think I've
Yep.
apologized to most, but for those I haven't, um,
We've
I guess
we've
I'll
left
hopefully
plenty.
find my way to you.
Yep. That that goes without saying. We've definitely need to just continually making amends with those that we have hurt. So,
Yeah. All right. We'll get
all
out in
right,
that
honey,
Florida
have a
sunshine.
great day. I'm going to take a walk on the beach.
Ooh, I love that.
Yep,
Um,
that'll.
and I will send you Reese's number so you can call her tomorrow on her birthday. She will be, I'm sure, very much glued to that phone on day one. So I'm gonna let her have
Yep,
that.
I've got it ready to go into my contacts, so there I'm excited for her. So,
All
hope
right,
she
Dad.
has a
Well, I
great
love you
day.
so much. Oh,
Love you too.
tomorrow we've got we're doing hibachi tonight with the Borellis, and then tomorrow she's got a basketball game, and then we've got the Flyers game for Parker's final. Mike's on ice, so he'll be playing tomorrow night at Wells Fargo. He's really hoping to be the mite of the night. So I'll let you
Ah,
know how that goes. They pick one kid at the end. So they typically will grab the goalie unless like one kid really stands out. So I was like, well, if you want to be the mite of the night, you better stand out. So put all
yep,
those dollars I spend in your lessons to good use, and we'll see what happens.
yep. Bring your A game. That's right.
Bring your A
All right,
game.
honey. Tell everyone hi.
I love
Love
you,
you.
Daddy. I will. Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in today. With so many podcasts out there, we are grateful you chose to spend your time with us.
And we'd love to hear from you. So send us your questions, comments, and feedback to info@twoclicksinapod.com, and we might feature your message in a future episode.
Also, don't forget to follow us on social and head over to our YouTube channel where you can watch the full episode live and in living color. You can find us at 2 Clicks in a Pod. That's 2, as in the number, clicks in a pod.
Well, James, until next time, love you.
Love you too, Daddy.